This video is designed to give you the tools to identify what to look for in a barbell so you can select the best one for you. Bars are always changing and evolving, but the process for picking one doesn't. We currently have over 40 Olympic barbells in our gym, though we've lost a few along the way, which is my way of saying I might have gotten a little out of hand collecting these, but as long as you use them all, or at least make a video to help other people, your wife can't be too mad, right? Right? The first thing you have to do is decide the type of bar you want. What style of lifting are you into? Are you a hardcore power lifter out there breaking records, even if they're your own? An Olympic weightlifter with actual talent, unlike myself? A CrossFitter doing whatever the hell they do? Or something else? You'll want to determine the types of lifts you'll be doing because that's going to narrow down your choices and the characteristics of your barbell. Powerlifters will look for an aggressive knurling, while weightlifters will want a bearing bar that has more spin. But there's a lot more to it than that, and don't worry if you change your mind later. I know a guy who will gladly help you buy another one. Along the way, I'll narrow down my collection and give my top, budget, and alternative choice for each style of bar. And if you decide this video is helpful and want to support the channel, you can check out the links to those bars in the description. Some of them are affiliate links, so if you purchase one of those, the company will send us a small commission at no cost to you, which helps keep my wife from killing me. Let's set this all up by breaking down the Olympic barbell, which is approximately 7.21784 feet long, or just over 7 feet. Women's bars tend to be a little shorter, but have the same shaft length, so they'll fit in a standard power rack, but they'll have a smaller shaft diameter to help people with smaller hands grip them. At a basic level, bars are pretty simple, though there's a lot of differences in how they're put together, build quality, and other important factors we'll get to. You've got the shaft, which typically ranges from 28 millimeters in diameter on a weightlifting bar to 29 millimeters for a power bar. To simplify things to make it easier to understand, a thicker shaft makes for a stiffer bar, but there are other factors at play like tensile and yield strength, but yield isn't often published, those numbers are widely misunderstood, and things are made worse by many companies often exaggerating their specs. So I'd use them as a guideline, not an end-all be-all. But a stiff bar will have less whip or bend. You want to limit whip in powerlifting, but it can be helpful in Olympic weightlifting. Of course, there's exceptions to everything. For example, deadlift bars are normally longer and have a 27 millimeter shaft to increase flex and make them easier to grip. There's the sleeves, and they're about 17.5 inches long, but the loadable sleeve length, or how much space you have for plates, can vary depending on the thickness of the collar. A competition power bar versus the original Texas power bar being a great example of that. And then underneath the sleeves are the bushings or bearings, which affect spin. Bushings are found in bars where you don't need much spin, and bearings are for Olympic style lifts, which I'm not going to demonstrate again. Of course, there's other numbers that matter, but I can already see your eyes glossing over. So let's start with power bars, and we'll talk about a lot more stuff along the way. Now for a dramatic fade out so I can set up the bars. Power bars are designed for the big three: squat, bench, and deadlift, though they can be used for many other movements. That means they've got to be rigid, hence the typical 29 millimeter shaft. They'll have bushings to limit spin, and an aggressive knurling to help with your grip, and of course, a center knurl for back squats. And it's the knurling that's often the biggest difference, or at least easiest to notice between power bars. So let's get a little nerdy with this one, but not like TPI and trigonometry nerdy. I'd check out Basement Brandon if you really want to geek out on power bars, because nobody knows shafts like he does. There's typically three main types of knurlings you'll find on a barbell: the hill, volcano, and mountain. Hill knurling is a passive, shallowly cut knurl with a smooth top. It's normally found on multipurpose bars and ollie bars, and is useful if you're doing a lot of high rep workouts, as the knurl won't murder your hands. Volcano knurling is the most popular knurl style because it sits between passive and knurls that are so aggressive that people might start to wonder if you enjoy pain a little too much. Volcanoes have a notch cut out of the top, making a volcano shape, hence the name, and are cut deeper than hills, though there is a lot of variety between manufacturers. For example, Rogue's hybrid power bar has a very aggressive, deeply cut volcano knurl. American Barbell's Chewy is much shallower, and the Ohio Power Bar is somewhere in the middle. But there's also levels of quality in every aspect of a barbell, which is why their prices vary widely. Take, for example, the Ohio Power Bar, my top pick. It has a build quality to price ratio that's basically unmatched for an American-made bar. Rogue has the most finish options, which is an important factor we'll talk about in a minute. All of Rogue's knurling is cleanly done, and this one's no exception. It's gripping aggressive without tearing up your hands, but Rogue also has a proven track record and the customer service to back up a bar I've been recommending for years, which is why I recommend it to the vast majority of people looking for their first power bar. Mountain knurling is the most aggressive style because the knurl comes to a point which can result in a very sharp feeling bar, though the point can be rounded a little and the density of the knurl plays a role. So as always, there's variation. So what about my other two recommendations? Whittling down my power bars to just 3 has probably been more difficult than it's been for my wife to pretend to look interested when I talk about gym equipment. My alternative pick would be Rogue's hybrid power bar because I think it's one of the most underrated bars out there, and all the things I said about Rogue earlier still apply. But I will warn you, Rogue's Aggro 2 knurling is aggressive, and when combined with a slightly smaller shaft diameter of 28.5 millimeters and a stainless steel shaft, this bar's got some bite to it, but it's actually become one of Winnie's and my go-to bars, and I liken it to, and I know I'm gonna get some hate here, but a well-made Texas power bar. Now, hear me out, because I do appreciate everything Texas Power Bars has done for the community, but there's no play in these sleeves versus Texas Power Bars. And this bar has the tightest tolerances of any bar I own. And all 3 of my Texas Power Bars, we have the 28.5, 29, and deadlift, all have choppy, inconsistent knurling. But the final straw for me was when my 29 came in with more metal shavings on it than any of the cheapest Chinese bars I've ever owned. If Rogue made that bar, people would lose their minds. Now that I've tripled the amount of dislikes on this video, let's do my budget pick. I still think 2 years later that the Bell's Bare Naked Powerlifting Bar is the best power bar for around $200. Yes, it's imported, and I'm still not convinced the knurling is consistent between batches, but if you enjoy an aggressive shaft, and knurling is a personal preference, so nobody can tell you which shaft will feel best in your hands, but it is bare steel, which means yes, it will have to be maintained, but you'll also get the most natural and cleanest feeling grip. Now let's switch things up and cover the next bar type and talk about why finishes, build quality, and other things matter. Multi-purpose bars are your do-everything barbells. If you're interested in high-rep workouts like a bodybuilder, CrossFitter, or if you just have no interest in trying to look strong and cute online and are more into general fitness, one of these may be for you. Rather than specializing like a power bar or a weightlifting bar, these sit somewhere between. So in general, you'll find a 28 millimeter shaft diameter, IPF and IWF knurling marks to help with hand positioning for both powerlifting and weightlifting movements. You may or may not have center knurling, but the knurling is typically more passive and a spin between the two depending on how the bar is made, and that's where things can get interesting. I take apart and test everything companies send me because I'm genuinely interested in how things are made, but also because of a healthy distrust for corporations. So color me surprised when I found out Rep's Colorado bar is built similarly to a very high-end barbell, American Barbell's Chewy bar. Why does that matter? American Barbell makes equipment for commercial gyms. Their quality is incredible. So to find an imported bar moving away from what's become your typical snap ring construction and towards a higher end build is cool, because it means reps done their homework, even if it means they've done it a little too well. Everything on this bar, from the laser etched collars, the upgraded end caps, a clean medium depth volcano knurl that provides good grip without being aggressive, and some great finishes, all line up with that higher build quality. It makes this one of our most used bars and our top choice. As an alternative pick, I'm going with the Ohio bar because it's become the world's most popular bar for a reason. It's an all-around, well-done bar, and what most other companies, including Rep with the Colorado bar, are trying to emulate. Where Rogue has an advantage is that their bars are made in the US and they have much more control over that process, but also in their finishes, because nobody offers more options than them. When it comes to a finish, you're concerned with 4 things: durability, cost, corrosion resistance, and how it affects your knurling. And to speed things up, I'll use my video game stat system that people seem to like, and I'm sure my editor hates me for. Let's start with chrome because it's a very popular finish, but it can be a little confusing because there's 2 types. Bright chrome is the cheaper of the 2, whereas hard chrome is thicker, more durable, and it protects against oxidation better. Hard chrome is actually one of my favorite sleeve finishes next to stainless steel because of its wear resistance. Where it's not as good is on a shaft, because it'll fill in the knurling some and dull it. Personally, I like when my shaft is raw. That gives you the best feeling, which is why I've got a lot of bare steel and stainless bars, because they provide the best grip. That and stainless steel is very durable and doesn't require maintenance, which is why it's my favorite shaft finish, but it's also very expensive, whereas a bare shaft is the cheapest but has no corrosion resistance, so it's got to be maintained. So what about others? Cerakote has outstanding corrosion resistance and can be found in all kinds of crazy colors and designs, which is great if you're trying to convince your wife you need another bar. Ask me how I know. But it's a coating, so it'll dull your knurling. So while I love it on my Colorado bar, I wouldn't like it as much on a power bar, and it's an awful sleeve finish. Allow me to single-handedly tank Bell's sales of the Onyx bar by showing you why you'd want to avoid it. There are, of course, your less expensive finishes like black and bright zincs, which are affordable, but black zinc wears easily. You can see on my Ohio bar where my absolutely massive traps have rubbed the black zinc finish off, and bright zinc dulls easily, as my Ohio bar is so graciously demonstrating again. E-coat is a little more durable and fights rust better, but just like zinc, blunts your knurling a little. Then you've got conversion coatings like Rogue's Matte Black or Rep's Duracoat, which are actually the same thing. They convert the surface of the steel rather than coat it, and I'd rank them third behind hard chrome and stainless steel as a sleeve finish. They're very durable, but they do still wear. There are still a few others like black oxide, but I've mentioned the most popular ones, and I'm not sure how long I can talk about what I like on my shaft before people start questioning what this video is really about. So let's do my budget pick, and it's time for me to piss another company off. I really wanted to like Titan's Performance Olympic bar because it's cheaper and has a little better specs than my actual choice, but I just can't, because when I spin it, the grinding noise just eats at my soul. I mean, it's not Yahi Tech bad, the worst bar I've ever seen, but Titan's has a needlessly complex sleeve retention system, which makes it clanky, and mine has rust in the sleeves. So I'd say subscribe for our upcoming review of all their bars, because they're not all like this. Some of them are actually pretty good, but it's gonna be an interesting video. All right, for my actual budget pick, I'm going with Rep's Delta Basic bar because it's everything Titan's isn't. It has a smooth spin, good knurling that's passive but grippy, and all around is a very good bar for the price. We've done power and multi-purpose bars, so now it's time for weightlifting bars. And you're probably thinking, what happened to his collection? And the truth is, my wife never watches this far into the videos, so I'm gonna admit I might have too many bars because I actually kind of lost one. A weightlifting bar is one that's primarily designed for the snatch and clean and jerk. Here's a totally real clip of me actually demonstrating one. It'll weigh 20 kilograms and have a 28 millimeter shaft diameter, which increases whip, and a bushing bearing hybrid system, or just bearings to increase spin. These two features help a weightlifter harness the energy of the bar and control it better, allowing for a smoother lift. Weightlifting is pretty hard on your equipment because at the end of your lift, you tend to drop the bar rather than lower it. So you can't use cheap bearings because while bushings are nearly indestructible, bearings are far from it, and one messed up bearing ruins your bar. I mention all that because it means weightlifting bars are more expensive than other options because of the cost of good bearings. So I don't have a true budget pick here. I also don't do enough ollie lifting to feel comfortable recommending a Rogue Pyros bar or one of their other $600 ollie bars, and I'd have to sell half my collection to afford an Eleiko. But if someone wants to send me one, I'll gladly embarrass myself in a review by going back to my roots in Olympic weightlifting. So my top pick is Rep's Alpine bar. You'll find a lot of the high-end touches of the Colorado bar and also quality bearings that provide smooth spin, well-done finish options, and I like having a medium depth knurl on the outside and a more passive one in the center because my chest doesn't get as beat up during high rep workouts. As an alternative, I'd go with the bearing version of Fringe's Wonder Bar. I don't love black zinc finishes, but it spins well, and I've always thought it outperformed its price tag, and it's the cheapest I go on a bearing bar. Still can't decide which bar to get? Just click my link and buy a few. If your partner gives you any issues, just show them this video and say, hey, look, honey, at least I'm not that guy. Check out our barbell reviews here for an in-depth look at the different ones I've talked about. Thanks to our Patreons who have really helped us get to the point where we can make videos like this. Links in the description. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next week.